Hey y'all, it's Krypton Critics. I'm here to review Daredevil Season 3, starring Charlie Cox, Vincent D'Onofrio, Eldon Henson, Deborah Ann Woll, Jay Alley, Wilson Bethel, and Stephen Ryder. This takes place right after, the most important thing it takes right after is, obviously Season 2 and Defenders, because we see that Matt's all fucked up from the battle for New York. When there was ninjas and shit, and he had a building basically follow him, but he was able to survive by some waterways, and someone finds him, and he's taken to a nunnery, orphanage, and he bumps into one of these nuns named Maggie. And he's suffering from hearing loss. He just has injuries all up and down his back, and everything just like hurt on this man because of the damage that he had suffered. So now not only is like one ear he has problems hearing out of, which is like completely detrimental to like how he operates, because he is the blind vigilante. And he needs his hearing to maximize his ability to fight with people. But as like the first episode goes by, he starts getting his senses back, and now he can run and fight again and all that. Also, his test is, his face is tested. He talks to Maggie, who's one of the nuns, and starts bringing up the Book of Job. And how he feels like, kind of like God is like pulling like, joke on Matt for having all these bad things happen to him. We see that Karen and Foggy still miss Matt. They still are under the impression that he is deceased, and they're paying for all of his apartment expenses. We see that Wilson Fisk is back. We briefly saw him in Season 2, because he's the one that got Punisher out of prison, and he also severely assaulted Matt when he went to go question him, and he brought up the name Vanessa. Just for a side, I don't think there's any bad performances in this at all. I think everyone does a really good job. I'm still blown away by Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin. He is a performance that we're going to be talking about for, like people say, like some performances have legs and they're still talked about for a while. This is going to be one of them that we're still going to be mentioning Vincent D'Onofrio's name as performance of Kingpin, 10, 20 years from now. I fully believe that, because everything is done with like, such precision, and whatnot. But we're introduced to this this character named Nadim, who helps get Wilson Fisk out of prison and put into house arrest into a penthouse, because he's he works for the FBI, and he wants to make sure that Wilson Fisk can give him as much information as they can to take all the criminal underworlds and whatnot, because Fisk knows a lot, because he is the Kingpin. So while they transport Fisk out of prison, and this is also after Fisk is shanked in prison and almost kills the guy who shanked him. His name is Jasper. We see him later in the story. Albanian gang, like big underworld group, starts attacking Nadim and Fisk in their, the truck and shit, and the truck flips over and men are down, and then we see one of the FBI agents that has apprehended Fisk is just all the Albanians, bam, 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 throws knives in their neck, just like, and at first, like the marksmanship was so good, I thought it was like Punisher, like come back to the series, but no, it's this character we bump into named Benjamin Poindexter, named Dex. Ray survives, and he initially was the big pusher to have the house arrest of Fisk. So a lot is resting on his shoulders for the situation that anything that goes bad, he feels guilty for. He's like, well, this is my fault. I'm the one that pushed this idea. We see that Matt almost immediately gets back into fighting. He puts on, the black bandana around his eyes and the black suit. And he starts bringing street justice, because justice never sleeps. But yeah, he's just like whooping ass just across the city again. He finds like these gangsters that have like a dry cleaning front, and helps this woman and this older man, her father. And matter of fact, Karen meets with this woman to find out what's happening and how this might connect to a bigger criminal underworld. And she hears a description of the person that helped save them when they were being attacked, and she's like, "Oh my God, Matt's still alive." But yeah, like I really like the way that this season has been paced. Just like boom, boom, boom. Next subject, and we come full circle many times. There were some plot lines that I wasn't like head over heel in love with, but I still really enjoyed. I think one of the best sequences, hands down, this season was when Fisk is in his penthouse and he's still under house arrest. He starts reading the files on many FBI agents, and he starts reading about Dex, the one that saved him and took out all those Albanians when they were attacked on the streets. And we start learning about the backstory of how he was the best thrower of baseball when he was a little kid, and he actually killed his coach. And he has to meet with a psychiatrist and to figure out what's wrong with this kid, and he didn't have parents to take care of him, and he tries to kill his own psychiatrist when he's like a teenager. They got a really good likeness for a younger actor that looks a lot like Dex, how he looked back then. But yeah, everything like goes in black and white, and we see all the events, not like in a half flashback, where we see everything happen in the penthouse that Kingpin is residing in. He's just observing. He doesn't say anything. He just looks at all the different things. Matt starts hearing again, and very funny because he starts hearing when he goes to the penthouse and sees all the protesters that are against Fisk being under house arrest, because they're like, well, he's too evil for that. He's done too much criminal shit that he shouldn't have this kind of luxury treatment. And then we also find out that Fisk owns the hotel that he's being kept in that little penthouse through a shell company, and the shell company is just everywhere and it's fucking over everyone, especially Foggy's brother. And we meet with Foggy's family, and as he's mentioned in the first season, they run a deli. And I love that, just like little aside things that they can say in like the first season can come back and really have real meaning, and it gives a great rewatchability for the series as a whole. So we see Dex's backstory, which I think is probably one of the biggest highlights out of this season, and there's a lot of great stuff. We see that Matt comes back into Foggy, and still, Matt is like problematic, starting, drama wherever he comes, and he steals Foggy's identity and his wallet and his money, so he can go to the prison that Fisk used to be held in, and he wants to find Jasper, the man that shanked Fisk, because he believes that Jasper was made to do it, that he wasn't just doing it to shank him, like that there was an intentional, chess move by Fisk to help him get out of prison. And yeah, there's a great breakout scene where where he's pretending to be Foggy, and obviously doesn't use photo ID because they're automatically they wouldn't know who he was. And he just starts fighting, and then we learn that Fisk, has cameras in the prison, that he runs from the penthouse, secretive, but he's actually working with the FBI, and everyone's on his payroll basically, and the only ones that aren't corrupt by him are like the police. And you just realize like how much influence this man has, and it's insane. Like I thought the corruption in the first season of Daredevil was crazy, but I ain't seen shit. But Fisk is, once again, very worried about his fiancee, Vanessa. And it's not until towards the end of the series that she comes back to New York and spends some time with him, and they actually have a wedding and they get married. Yeah, and that's like in the last episode of the season. We get some backstory to Karen Page, because, she gets a lot of development in this season. We see like how quick she is to draw a gun again. We learn more about her relationship with Ellison, the head of the Bulletin, and the Bulletin's attacked by Dex because he's being manipulated by Fisk, and he starts wearing a duplicate of Daredevil's old red outfit. So everyone thinks that it's Daredevil. It's all about nobody knows who Matt is, that he's Daredevil. So it's like a perfect cover for they can always scapegoat Daredevil, and they definitely do like towards the end of the series. We see that Dex is obsessed by this woman, Julie, and that they briefly worked at the same suicide prevention, call center. And yeah, Dex gets real creepy around her, but she eventually gives him a chance, and then she fucks up because she got entangled with him, and Fisk had her killed. And homeboy Dex doesn't find this out until later in the series. Now, for anyone that didn't know who Dex is, he's Bullseye. They have the bullseye on his baseball cap when he was a kid, and they do a little thing in the very last shot of this season, which I thought was a little corny. I wasn't really feeling it. I know what they're doing, just in case if they have another season, they want to tease that he's going to be more villain, or a season after that. Who knows how long the series is, but if as long as they can keep up the quality and acting and editing and cinematography and music, and if they can keep it up anywhere close to what we've had from all of the Marvel shows, then go ahead. It's honestly, it's some of the best television out there. But yeah, we also find out that Maggie, the nun, is Matt's mother, and that she has postpartum depression. Even she was a nun back then, but the reason why she just broke is because she felt so much guilt for being a nun, having premarital sex, and bearing a child, and she had problems forgiving herself for that. And yeah, but yeah, Dex is an amazing character to watch. I mean, no one tops the kind of character that Fisk is. There's a lot of great tension, a lot of great fight scenes. There's a lot of moments where you feel bad for a lot of characters. I felt really bad for Karen when we find out how her brother died back in her early college days, and that she was just living in Vermont in a crappy rundown restaurant in the middle of basically nowhere, and she had a boyfriend that would sell cocaine and all that shit. I kind of figured that we were going to get, some bad memories with Karen because, like, in the comics, she had like a very sleazy boyfriend that got her into like some real back alley pornography, and she got addicted to heroin as well. And yeah, seeing like Dex pick up Julie and how much he freaked out, and I felt one character I felt really bad for was Nadim. Yes, you could argue he was wrong for aiding and abetting all this criminal activity, but you gotta think to yourself like what other choice did he have like to protect his wife and his son. Like he was put in a tough spot, and he had to deal with a lot of shit. I wasn't sure what I was gonna feel about his character when I first saw him. I mean, not because he's Indian, but I just wasn't sure like how much he would factor in. But when I saw like how much he went through and his connection with Daredevil, and he even like knows his identity, I was just like, oh, this is really really cool. I mean, fucked up, but really cool. But I love how it ends where, Dex tries to kill Vanessa and Kingpin ain't feeling that shit. And he breaks his back. And basically, Daredevil and Kingpin have a truce where Daredevil reveals his identity, but he says, I can't, I'll admit that Vanessa will be left alone, and we won't say the crazy shit that she's been a part of, just as long as you never terrorize New York with your corruption. He's like, all right, my hands are tied, and they shake hands. And with all this drama and all this crazy shit going down, people dying, and like every turn where they're trying to like testify or get Jasper killed, Dex is like throwing pins and knives and shit and just like fucking people up. It's insane. But yeah, overall, this is my second favorite season out of all the Marvel Netflix shows. I still like season 2 more, but not by much. But like once again, that's my favorite. Like all of them I've enjoyed. Like I think all of them for me are at least a B, all the way up to A+. And even though I do like season 2 more, this still is A+ for me, and I highly recommend it to anybody that's a comic book fan, Daredevil fan, just wants to binge watch something on Netflix. Is like, oh shit, oh they did that, oh my god, just all that. So it's by the Krypton Critics. Tell me what you think. I love you.